When it comes to making Texas style chili or a bowl of Texas red chili, the recipe itself can be pretty divisive. Some people just say it can't have beans. Some people say it shouldn't contain any tomato based products. Either way, I'm gonna make up a bowl of Texas red chili inspired chili, the way I like to do it, the way I like it. I'm probably gonna a few people off in the comments. Full recipe will be down below. So we're going to start off with some dried chilies. I've got 5 ancho chilies and 5 guajillo chilies, and optionally some chili diablo. I'm going to add 1 in. And I know you've probably seen me do this many times, but a lot of good recipes just start with dried chilies. Take the stalks off, remove all the seeds. Take these and get them into a bowl. I'm cutting them up purely so they fit. They tend to want to float otherwise, and because I didn't get a big enough bowl. Cover those in some boiling water and allow to steep for probably 15 minutes. So while those are steeping, a quick note on the meat. So this is a leftover brisket chili recipe rather than taking some raw meat, searing it and cooking it down. So I've got some chopped up brisket here, got some lean, got some point end, and you'll notice that most of this isn't gonna go in until the very end of the process. So I am gonna put a little bit of this stuff in because cooking the chili for the duration with the brisket in is gonna allow some of that gelatin in the brisket itself to come out. That's gonna help to give the sauce a nice mouthfeel, a nice consistency, a nice gelatinous feel. But because this is a fully cooked brisket, fridged and cut up, you can see that it's already tender. It would just completely shred up by the time we're finished cooking it. And I want to have big chunks of brisket in my chili, so some of this stuff will go in at the beginning, but most of these big chunks will go in towards the end. So our chilies have softened up, and they're going to go into the NutriBullet, and these are still very hot, so we're going to wait for this all to cool down before we blend it. And to this we're going to add some achiote paste, some canned chipotles and adobo sauce, 2 big ones. Some of that sauce and onions can come out with it too, and then a little bit of beef stock. So you might be wondering why I'm not using the liquid from the chilies. I basically find that that stuff can be quite bitter, so I'm using just good quality beef stock, and we'll come back to this beef stock in a bit. Get that blended up into a nice thick paste, and then from here on out we're pretty much cooking on the hob. So we're going to go in with some fatty bacon. So we'll just slowly cook this out, render out as much of this fat as we can. This new camera angle means that I keep forgetting to do stuff, but I just threw in some finely diced onions and just using the moisture from those to get the fond off the bottom of the pan. So we'll sweat these down for a little bit. Then we'll go in with some garlic, and by the time we finish cooking, these onions and this garlic will pretty much dissolve. Cook those out for a little bit. Then we're going to go in with some of those brisket pieces that are going to be in here for the duration of the cook. Start to render some of those fats out. These will not hold up throughout the whole cook. Then time to get our chili in. Just rinsed out the NutriBullet. Then we're going to go in with 1.5 litres of beef stock, good quality beef stock. Then we're going to go in with some spices, cumin, garlic powder, instant coffee, some seasoned salt, Mexican oregano, ancho chili powder, and some black pepper. Give that all a stir around. This has got a really nice deep red color. So we're going to bring that up to a short boil and then onto a simmer. So that is going to blip away on a low simmer for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Some of that liquid is going to reduce, which is a good thing, but we're not completely done with the ingredients. So towards the end of the cook, we're going to adjust for acidity with some apple cider vinegar, and also balance out any bitterness brought in by those chilies with some sugar. So I'm going to use brown sugar. You could use dark chocolate or even white sugar. For me, I like to use brown sugar because I don't often have dark chocolate in the house, and I'm not going to go out and buy a whole bar of dark chocolate just to use it in a chili. Let that cook away for about 2 hours, then we'll look to add in the rest of our brisket and it should be good to go. About 2 hours of simmering time later, this has reduced down nicely. It is a super dark, rich, deep red color. And as I say, we're going to taste and adjust for 2 things. Make sure it's not too bitter, and we can adjust that by adding some acidity in the way of apple cider vinegar, small amount of brown sugar, definitely not too much. Again, we don't want a sweet chili. That's tasting very good. Rich, deep flavors, well balanced. Then we're going to go in with our pre-smoked, pre-cooked leftover brisket. Get it all stirred around. Get that back on the heat and bring it back up to a simmer. 1 hour later, this is done. All of that brisket has completely softened up, effectively just reheated it, to be honest. And there is only one more thing to add, completely optional of course, and that is some masa harina. So this is the kind of flour that you make corn tortillas with. I personally really like it. I know some people think it's a bit ridiculous, but it adds a really nice subtle corn flavor. It thickens the sauce if you need it. This one actually didn't need it. Set this to the side and don't touch it for at least 20 minutes. It's still going to be plenty hot, but all of that corn flour that we've just put in there needs to hydrate somewhat. Then after 20 minutes or so, just load up a big bowl. Go down with a little bit of onion. little bit of grated cheese, sour cream, a little bit of coriander. And that is my Texas red style chili. Yeah, that's looking good. It's definitely not going to be to everyone's taste, that's for sure. And although I put the cooked brisket in quite late in the process, still got a little bit shreddy, which isn't what I was after, but yeah, that is very good. One of the nice things about doing it this way is that the smoke flavor from the brisket comes through. You definitely don't need to be using smoked meats in order for this kind of chili to be great, but it is a nice addition. You can honestly just get a pack of tortillas, maybe some rice as well actually, some cheese, just load those up, eat it like a taco. I had to have a little break, go away, come back, because I ate a lot more of that than I intended to. As always, very, very good. And obviously you don't need to use leftover brisket. You could just sear off some chuck roast and make it from scratch like that, but I tend to have a lot of leftover brisket lying around, so when I make it, I tend to use that. But yeah, very, very good. Full recipe will be down below, all of the details so you can recreate it. But remember, as always, to adjust to your preferences. But yeah, otherwise that recipe should get you pretty much 99% of the way there. So if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It really, really does help me out. And I'll see you next week for another video. Where are those kidney beans?